From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome tonight. Days after securing a second term in office, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke presents his certificate of return to President Bola Tinubu in Abuja. Former Imo State Governor Rocha Sokorocha sues INEC, All Progressives Congress, and incumbent Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodimma's emergence as the APC's candidate for Imo West Senatorial District. Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang visits Mango community following a deadly attack, vows to protect Plateau ancestral lands. And at least 17 people have died in a massive Russian attack on Ukraine's capital as mayor says the city's critical infrastructure was purposefully destroyed. In our business news, PwC forecasts Nigeria's economy to grow by 4.2% in the second half of 2026 as economic activity strengthens.
On sports news tonight, English Premier League title holders Arsenal kick off 2026-27 season campaign against newly promoted side Coventry City at the Emirates on Friday.
And from the nation's capital, tragedy strikes in Goral community with at least 46 killed, others missing as overloaded vessel capsizes in Sokoto State. We begin tonight with a charge from President Bola Tinubu to the Governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke, to promote unity, peace and stability following his victory in the just concluded Osun State elections. The President gave this charge when he received the Governor and his entourage at the presidential villa, where Governor Adeleke also presented his certificate of return to President Tinubu.
Where you are today, God put you there. Not the smartness of any of these people. It's just their support, not their smartness. It's the wish of God that prevailed and the wish of the people followed. Promote unity, peace, and stability. Use it. I saw one of my opponents now say he will go back to subsidy. I read it. That is demonstration of a serious ignorance on governance and economy. Before I came here, 27 states are unable to pay salaries. Not to even talk of pensioners, salary of workers. In your state, I know a man that raised, who is nicknamed half salary. And the people of Osun State pronounce their judgment on you, that they love you, they want you to govern. So you're going back to govern.
And speaking after the visit, the Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke said he came to the villa to thank the President for allowing free and fair election in the just concluded polls.
I'm here to thank Mr. President, the father of the nation, because he fought for this democracy. That is why he allowed free and fair election. And that is the result. That is why I'm here to say thank you for making sure that democracy lives in Nigeria.
Meanwhile, a coalition of participating political parties and other stakeholders have passed a vote of confidence on the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Josh Amokwiton, over the conduct of the Osun State governorship election, describing the poll as a significant improvement in the nation's electoral process. The group, led by the national chairman of the Action People's Party, says the election recorded 92% of the benchmarks adopted for review, acknowledging that there is still room for improvement.
A review of the Osun governorship election brings together a coalition of participating political parties led by the national chairman of the Action People's Party to assess the conduct of the poll and the performance of the electoral umpire, INEC.
Their own insights from...
At this press conference in Abuja, the group put the success rate of the Osun election at 92%, describing the outcome as encouraging, and passed a vote of confidence on the INEC chairman.
We have observed the Osun State process. Our conclusion, and rightly so, is that Professor Amokwiton has earned the benefit of the doubt and, more importantly, has earned our confidence. This we do, particularly in relation to his demonstrated commitment to credible elections and the preparations being undertaken towards the 2027 general elections.
The group, who also commended the Commission for the deployment of technology, described it as a more proactive approach to election management, particularly as the country enters another election season.
Our interest was not in determining which political party benefited from the election. Our responsibility was to help create a space in which the electoral process could be examined honestly against the principles of democratic participation, equality, freedom of choice, institutional independence, and respect for the fundamental rights of citizens to participate in determining who governs them.
We came to the discourse not as representatives of political parties and not as supporters of any particular candidate. We came as representatives of young Nigerians who have a direct and enormous stake in the future of our democracy.
After the press conference, the group then marched to the INEC headquarters to present a copy of the resolution to the Commission.
From the two-day national discourse,
now, despite the vote of confidence given by the coalition to the INEC, they also want the Commission not to relent on its achievements. As Nigeria enters another political season, they hope that the lessons learned from the Osun election can translate into better technology, deeper consultations, and ultimately an electoral process where every voter and every party feels adequately represented. From Abuja, Victoria Longjohn, Channels Television News.
The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, Professor Nentawe Yilwata, has apologized to APC members across the country over the rancor and grievances that arose from the party's primary elections, especially in Oyo State. Professor Yilwata made this apology while addressing party leaders at the newly established APC campaign office in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. According to him, the National Working Committee accepted responsibility for the complaints and appealed to aggrieved members to put the past behind them and work with all candidates endorsed by the party to ensure victory in the forthcoming elections.
Traffic around Queen Elizabeth Road, venue of the new APC campaign office in Ibadan, is brought to a standstill as party supporters turned out in large numbers to receive the national chairman. Members from the 33 local government areas joined party leaders to welcome Professor Yilwata, whose visit focuses on reconciliation, unity, and strengthening the APC ahead of the elections. After a stakeholders meeting involving party leaders and aggrieved members, the national chairman accepted responsibility for the issues that created divisions within the party and apologized.
This morning we met with all the candidates. The aspirants for House of Assembly, aspirants for the House of Rep, and aspirants for the Senate. we had a deep meeting with them. They expressed where they felt we've gone wrong. They informed us where they felt we should make correction. I promised them and I committed myself to them. Ensure that in 2031, when we are conducting primaries, we make it near seamless.
He adds that the party had learned valuable lessons from the crisis and would use them to deepen internal democracy, inclusion, and unity.
You know, we're a family, and it's a family issue, and it's normal for children of the same family to have some little maybe challenges, but it's issues that can be settled within the party. And we're happy that the party is still stable, the party is still good, and from discussion we're having with the members of the party, they're prepared to work with us for us to succeed. So we're good.
Co-chairman of the Oyo State APC Reconciliation Committee, Senator Femi Lanley, also highlights the progress made in efforts to reunite members.
We are finding difficulties here and there, but we are meeting the difficulties with fortitude, and God is helping us so far.
The national chairman subsequently inaugurated the Oyo State APC Campaign Council and the party's new campaign office. The party says it will intensify efforts to bring all members back to one table with the ultimate goal of re-electing President Bola Tinubu and reclaiming the Oyo State Government House at Ogoni. Bukola Oriowo, Channel Television News.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has refuted claims of increasing armed robberies cases in the nation's territory. Well, speaking after inspecting some ongoing road projects in Kegeni and Gwarimpa, as well as the ongoing construction in the magistrate court in Garki, Mr. Wike says that though the city has recorded some crimes, he assures that the security agencies are on top of the situation.
When we went to the area, you can see how happy the residents were, very happy. And that's what governance is all about, impacting on the lives of the people. I'm happy that they're happy and they were well received. And then we went to Gwarimpa. It's a major job. I'm even afraid whether that completion period by January will first be right. But it's a major job. It's a job that is worth to be done. And now when the magistrate court Garki, if you came here with us last time, you don't have Ogoni. There was Ogoni that side. But that land had been reclaimed. We've gotten it back, and we're going to put another court there. I believe that before the end of the year, this job would have also been completed. So we're satisfied with what we have seen. We're very impressed that the promises made to their people are being fulfilled. We have to be careful of what we sell to the public, and we have to be careful. I'm not saying there are no one or two incidents of crime, but to say the armed robbery has increased in Abuja, I don't agree. Very much, I have not agreed to that because we have a security report. If armed robbery happens, police will notify us. It will be on the report, so we've not got it. But I do know that there are one or two crimes that have taken place, and the security agencies are up to the task.
The former governor of Imo State, Rocha Sokorocha, has sued the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma, over what he terms the inordinate ambition of the governor to contest the Imo West senatorial seat despite his subsisting term in office as governor till 2028. In the affidavit attached to the suit filed before the Federal High Court Abuja, Senator Korocha states that Governor Uzodinma's tenure in office as governor will expire at midnight on January the 14th, 2028, having taken the oath of office and been sworn into office on January the 15th, 2024. He says that Governor Uzodimma, whose tenure will not have expired by the year 2027, when the Senate will be inaugurated after the general election, also purchased an EOL and nominated form for the party's senatorial candidate. He urged the court to declare that it is unconstitutional for INEC to publish the name of Mr. Uzodimma as APC's candidate when he did not emerge as the winner of the primary election conducted on May the 18th. Mr. Okorocha also praised the court for an order directing INEC to recognize and publish his name as the duly nominated candidate of the APC to contest the poll, as he secured 150,780 votes, while Uzodimma scored 102,158 votes in the primary elections. He is also asking the court to prohibit Mr. Uzodimma from parading himself as a nominated candidate of the party to contest the election. In part two, after the break, tragedy strikes in Garo community in Sokoto State, while at least 46 persons have been killed and others are still missing as overloaded vessel capsized. Emergency responders. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Days after securing a second term in office, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke presents his certificate of return to President Bola Tinubu. Former Imo State Governor Rochester Okorocha sues INEC, All Progressives Congress, and incumbent Governor Hope Uzodimma's emergence as the APC's candidate for Imo West Senatorial District. Tragedy strikes in Garo community of Sokoto State with several persons killed and others still missing as the overloaded vessel capsized. Emergency responders and residents are intensifying search. And at least 17 people have been killed in a massive Russian attack on Ukraine's capital as the mayor says that the city's critical infrastructure was purposefully destroyed. Ahead of the 2027 general elections, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Olatunji Disu, is asking Nigerian youth to reject political violence, digital thuggery, and other forms of criminality capable of undermining the country's democratic process. He was speaking in the nation's capital, Abuja, at the National Youth Leadership and Security Dialogue, organized by the Nigeria Police Force to commemorate International Youth Day 2026. He says that politicians often reconcile after elections, while youth who are recruited for violence bear the consequences.
Youths from across the country converge on the Police Resource Center in Abuja at the instance of the Inspector General of Police to mark the 2026 International Youth Day. With the theme, Different Contexts, Common Aspirations and Campaign, My Future is Greater Than Political and Digital Thuggery, the Inspector General of Police warns against youth involvement in political violence.
When the campaign is over, political actors may reconcile, and politicians always do. When political rivals disagree, they may eventually shake hands later. But the young Nigerians who lose their lives to electoral violence do not return home. We are still saying the same thing. Think, do what is right.
He assures Nigerians that the police will protect the constitutional rights of citizens to participate in political activities, support political parties, and campaign for candidates of their choice, provided such activities remain peaceful and lawful.
We will protect citizens. We will facilitate peaceful campaigns. We will secure candidates, campaign venues, and public spaces within the law. We will protect the integrity of the electoral environment. But let me be equally clear, we will not protect violence.
The Bauchi State Police Command also joined the commemoration of the International Youth Day with a call on young people to shun activities that could jeopardize their future.
To our youth, I say this: you are the architects of your own destiny. Do not allow anyone to use you as a cannon fodder for political violence. Do not allow the allure of quick money from cybercrime to destroy your future.
Delivering a lecture titled, My Future is Greater Than Political Thuggery, The coordinator of the Safe School Initiative in Bauchi State reminds youths of the psychological, physical and legal consequences of political and digital thuggery.
Section 122 of the Electoral Act 2022 provides for imprisonment of up to 3 years for electoral offences. The Criminal Code and Penal Code prescribes punishment for rioting, unlawful assembly, and causing grievous harm. More importantly, a criminal record follows you for life.
The message resonates in Katsina and Gombe states as the police command in states warn youths to be wary of being lured into political violence.
Political threat jeopardizes these aspirations. We face a dangerous window of criminal influence between menaces of physical political thuggery and digital thuggery.
The theme of today's campaign, My Future is Greater Than Political and Digital Thuggery, is a timely reminder that no political ambition or temporary financial inducement is worth sacrificing one's future, especially that of our youth.
As the political campaigns resume, the police is taking advantage of the International Youth Day to reiterate the need for youths to shun all forms of political violence during the exercise.
Let's head to the nation's capital, Abuja, now, where Millicent Walker is standing by to bring us more on the news at 10. Over to you, Millicent. Looks like we're twinning on the jackets today.
Yes, indeed. I definitely got the memo on colours today. Thanks, Anne. Well, we begin on a sad note where at least 46 people have died in a boat accident in Garao community of Goronyo local government area of Sokoto State. The boat, which was conveying about 77 passengers, including farmers, women and children, was said to have capsized shortly after departing the community Thursday morning. Confirming the incident, spokesman of the Sokoto State Police Command, DSP Ahmed Rufai, said at least 46 bodies have so far been recovered. 15 passengers have been rescued. He says search and rescue operation involved local divers, emergency management agencies and the police. The incident comes exactly 1 year after a similar boat accident occurred in Kijio community, also in Goronyo local government area, raising fresh concerns over the safety of water transportation in riverine farming communities. And from concerns over safeguarding riverine communities to securing the plateau, the governor of Plateau State, Caleb Muftwang, has visited Bimpe community in Mangu local government area, condemning Tuesday's deadly attack that claimed lives and left others injured. The governor describes the attack as barbaric and senseless, saying the killing of innocent citizens is not only an attack on the community, but a direct attack on him and the state government. While condoling with the bereaved families, he urged residents to remain peaceful and vigilant, assuring them that his administration will strengthen security measures to protect vulnerable communities. The governor, who also received a security briefing from the GOC 3 Division Nigerian Army.
I needed to address them in our own native language. This is not just an attack on a community, it's an attack on me personally. And by the grace of God, God will avenge this attack. We will pray with you that the God of peace will grant you peace. Already, like I said, we are following some leads. The police have already said it publicly that they have arrested a suspect. We will follow the lead. We will track these people down. Remain strong. They want to make sure that they discourage you and begin to run away so that you will no longer live in your houses. We will do everything to ensure that you remain in your houses. God will protect you.
Meanwhile, the federal government is reiterating its commitment to combat the proliferation of illicit small arms and light weapons as part of efforts to ensure a safer Nigeria. Speaking in Abuja at a one-day workshop on lessons learned from Nigeria's 2016 National Baseline Survey on illicit small arms and light weapons, The Director of External Affairs in the Office of the National Security Advisor, Mr. Solomon Feyitola, says the proliferation of small arms is a deadly threat to the safety of Nigerians.
Gathered in this hall at the National Counter-Terrorism Center are security experts and stakeholders who are here to review lessons learned from Nigeria's 2016 National Baseline Survey on illicit arms and light weapons. The conversation begins with a highlight of the threats posed by the proliferation and illicit trafficking of small arms and light weapons.
Our objective is not to revisit the past, merely for the sake of documentation. Rather, we are here to extract practical lessons from experience and apply them deliberately to the future. We must therefore be prepared to acknowledge not only the successes of the 2016 survey, but also its limitations and the difficulties encountered in its design and implementation.
Beyond its national significance, the survey offers Nigeria an opportunity to position itself as a regional center of excellence for arms research, capacity building and training.
Distinguished participants, allow me to reiterate that the Office for Disarmament Affairs, through its Regional Center for Peace and Development in Africa, ONREC, remains fully committed to supporting the National Baseline Survey. We also stand ready to provide further support, even after the validation of the survey and its findings.
Keep it coming. According to a survey by the Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons, released in 2021, illicit arms in circulation in the country is estimated at over 8 million, with 70% concentrated in the hands of non-state actors.
The proliferation of illicit small arms and light weapons is not an abstract policy concern for Nigeria. It is a daily threat to the safety of our dear citizens. It sustains banditry in our northwest, fuels communal and farmer-headed conflicts across the north central, arms criminal networks in our cities, and sustains the operational capacity of terrorists and insurgent groups in the northeast.
The technical session of the meeting continues behind closed doors, as security experts and stakeholders are expected to review lessons learned ahead of conducting an updated national baseline survey.
Still ahead on the news at 10, PricewaterhouseCoopers forecasts Nigeria's economy to grow by 4.2% in the second half of 2026 as economic activity strengthens. That's on Business News. Please join us again. Key stakeholders in Nigeria's oil and gas sector have identified the need for training and retraining of workers, and the adherence to regulatory frameworks is key to the growth of the sector. Speaking at the second day of the Pengassan Energy and Labour Summit, they called for a collaborative approach in handling challenges confronting the sector in line with global best practices.
Now, this summit has drawn... Industry heavyweights in the energy sector have come together for the 5th edition of the Pengassan Energy and Labour Summit, put together by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria.
I appreciate you.
It is an annual event that gathers key government regulators, industry executives, and labour leaders to shape policy, address workforce challenges, and secure sustainable growth in Nigeria's oil and gas sector.
Under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, targeted presidential orders and executive orders have been deployed to address practical constraints identified in the course of the implementation of the PIA.
The interest and livelihood of Nigeria oil and gas workers adequately protected. Regulation should never become an obstacle to investment, but neither should investment become an excuse for weak standards. There must be a balance. As an association, we remain particularly concerned about the human consequences of regulatory and commercial decisions.
Seeing the strengthening regulatory frameworks as catalysts for stability and growth in Nigeria's oil and gas industry, the second day of the summit looks at a collective approach to growth in the industry.
My advice generally to management and to even ourselves is that whenever we have negotiations, I think both sides should remain open. Both sides should listen to reasons. Both sides should try to review the data, because if you don't do that, and we now have some level of agitations where we are now, it doesn't always end well.
Key players in the sector also have a message for operators and Nigerians.
Aging infrastructure, even the regulatory uncertainty was a major impediment. And what we mean by that, it's not like the PIA hasn't done its job. The PIA has done its job, but underlining the PIA, we came up with regulations, and we are still working those regulations.
Knowledge economy is very critical. Many countries of the world generate more revenue with knowledge economy. Brazil, for instance, earns more in terms of revenue, more than Venezuela, who has the oil. Because we can sit on the huge resources, but when we don't have the expertise, when you don't have the skills to harness, ultimately, somebody will harness the resources and give a field.
Drowning or distracted while the...
Two key issues came to the fore at the of the Pengassin Energy and Labour Summit. First was the issue of training and retraining of workers in the oil and gas sector. Also critical was the issue of regulatory frameworks being adhered to by players in the industry. Daily Amoyeni, Channels Television News.
Well, still in the oil and gas sector, the Apex Socio-Cultural Organization of the Ogoni people, Kagote, is calling on the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, to intervene and clarify what it describes as concerns and misinformation surrounding the ongoing Ogoni dialogue process and the proposed resumption of oil production in Ogoni land. The call comes amid renewed demands by several Ogoni youth groups for meaningful participation in the ongoing discussions on oil resumption. Our correspondent Deborah Mie-Feberesima has more.
For more than 3 decades, oil wells in Ogoni land have been silent. Once a major oil producing region in the Niger Delta, Ogoni land comprising Kana, Gokana, Tai, and Eleme local government areas of River State became a symbol of environmental devastation, conflict, and a long-running struggle for justice and control of its resources. Now, the silence may be coming to an end and environment getting cleaned up gradually. The federal government is opening fresh discussions on the possible resumption of oil production in Ogoni land through the Ogoni Dialogue Committee. But as negotiations gather momentum, a different concern is emerging. Who gets a seat at the table and how transparent is the process? Youth groups, including the Ogoni Oil and Gas Host Communities Youth Association and the Ogoni Youth Council, are demanding meaningful participation, insisting that young people cannot be left out of decisions that will shape the future of their communities. Against this backdrop, Kagote is calling for greater scrutiny of the dialogue process and wants the National Security Advisor to intervene.
This is a commendable initiative by the federal government. However, concerns have risen regarding the selection process, applicable criteria, distribution of the opportunities. Members and stakeholders have not been sufficiently informed. We therefore respectfully request that the position regarding the status of oil activities in Ogoni land be clearly communicated to the people in order to prevent misinformation, speculation, and unnecessary tension.
Among the concerns is the handling of the confidence-building measures, including employment opportunities reportedly provided by NNPCL, as well as contracts and development projects earmarked for Ogoni.
I cannot explain to anybody how the 40 slots that was given by NNPCL as part of confidence-building measures prior to the negotiations was distributed among the LGAs. Neither do I know the name of any of the beneficiaries, yet I'm a member.
And there's another point of contention. Reports of oil-related activities already taking place in parts of Ogoni land while negotiations remain ongoing.
Why are we in a hurry? I've repeatedly asked a simple question. It took us 33 years to get to this point. Why must we rush the process now? If the answer is that elections are approaching, then I respectfully submit that this would be an inadequate reason to compromise the quality of an agreement.
The big question would be, with everybody wanting to be a part of the process, how will they be able to coordinate this in such a way that things are smoothly done and everybody feels carried along, yet there is lasting peace? From Port Harcourt, the River State capital, Deborah Miefe-Beresima, Channels Television News.
And that's it from the nation's capital. Back now to Lagos, where Anne is standing by.
Thank you, Millicent. The Akwa Ibom state government has received a major humanitarian intervention from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for distribution to affected families affected by the recent floods across the state. And the items were presented to the state government at the formal handover ceremony at the Akwa Ibom State Bulk Purchase Agency office in Uyo, the state capital.
To complement the Akwa Ibom state government's ongoing humanitarian response to the flood disaster, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is donating food and non-food items. The state government is commending the church for responding to the plight of the vulnerable and providing assurances of proper distribution.
This is what it means to preach the gospel and practice what you preach. You speak of love and you have made that love visible. You speak of service and you have served. We are deeply grateful. We must also listen to the warnings from NIMEX, whose seasonal outlook indicated significant rainfall this year. The message is clear. We must prepare, prevent, and act responsibly.
In times like this, the true measure of humanity is shown in how we raise to support one another. That is what this church have done today. Today we are witnessing the spirit of compassion and solidarity as exemplified by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Speaking for the Africa West Area Presidency of the Church, Christian Chibundu is emphasizing that this initiative aligns with the teachings of Jesus Christ.
These donations is an expression of that discipleship that Jesus Christ preached. A reflection of our commitment to follow the examples of Jesus Christ, who taught us to care for the hungry, the weary, and the afflicted. When he said, "Inasmuch as you have done it unto one of these my brethren, you have done it unto me."
I want to thank the Church of Christ, the Church of Jesus Christ, for your love and for your compassion, reaching out to us. A lot of us have gone through a lot. Personally, my piggery farm was affected. I lost thousands of naira because of the flood victim. But I want to give God all the glory, and I believe every one of us will be restored in Jesus' name.
This support builds on prior initiatives. A few months ago, the church donated wheelchairs and walking aids to the state and brought technicians from Uganda to train local personnel in the assembly and maintenance of mobility devices.
The governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodimma, says the state will commence robotic-assisted surgery on Friday, August the 21st at the Imo Robotics and Oncology Center within the reconstructed Imo Specialist Hospital in Omuguma. The governor says the procedure will be the first of its kind in the southeastern region, and this marks a major step in the state's effort to expand access to advanced medical care.
From tomorrow, we shall begin to see in practical terms what becomes possible when government makes deliberate investments in the health and well-being of its people. Tomorrow at Imo Robotics Center, Robotics and Oncology Center, within the Imo Specialist Hospital Complex, that is a great feat and a significant step for our healthcare systems. Tomorrow's surgery will be the best of and the first of its kind in the entire country. Even in the whole of West Africa, I don't think there is any robot anywhere The difference between the robot in Lagos and that in Owerri is that Owerri is purpose-built and is meant to serve our people optimally. Our responsibility as a government is to change the story where we can. We want more of our people to have access to advanced Medicare here at home. That is also why this center is being developed alongside our oncology services.
Let's now join Will Ebong for more stories in the world of business.
Thank you, Anne. PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, is forecasting that Nigeria's economy will grow by 4.2% in the second half of 2026 as economic activities continues to pick up. Now, the projection follows the 3.89% year-on-year growth in real GDP in the first quarter. That's up from 3.1% recorded in the same period last year. And PwC says inflation, interest rate, oil production, and government reforms will remain key factors in determining the pace of growth. Meanwhile, the CBN is expected to keep monetary policy tight with room for gradual rate cuts if inflation continues to fall. Now we see Microsoft is warning that Africa risks becoming mainly a consumer of artificial intelligence rather than a major developer of the technology if AI adoption does not accelerate across the continent. The company's head of Government Affairs for Africa, Aqua GHS, gave the warning in Lagos, citing Microsoft's Global AI Diffusion Report for the first quarter of 2026. GHS says 27.5% of working-age people in the global north use generative AI, compared with 15.4% in the global south. She also cites African Development Bank estimates that wider AI adoption could add up to $1 trillion to Africa's GDP by 2035. Let's head now to the domestic equities markets, where we see negative sentiments persisting. John Mekwa tells us more.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stock market report. Well, for the fourth consecutive trading session, we see the NGX closing in the red today. Investors took away 468 billion naira, and that's dropped us 1 point from 155 trillion naira level to 154 right there. And of course, yesterday we closed at 240,000 level. We're still there, but we lost a bit of points right here, and that's why the all share is down 0.30%. Look at the sectors, and we see the activities of investors today. A lot of profit taking happened around the banking shares, especially the big guys. We saw First Hoco started it in the morning and sustained it to the close of trade. So the counter is down 0.41%. Consumer goods actually managed to keep a bit of that. It's really light there, 0.10%. However, just like yesterday, Aradel again pulled down the oil and gas counter. So it's down almost 2.5% today. Aradel did a whole lot of this. And then we look at the top trades and we see, well, not the big guys that would normally expect, but STG Insurance, Sterling NG, and Trans-Nationwide Express has been having a lot of activity around it since last week. Perhaps you want to look there and see what's driving that. They had 21 million in volume of trades today, but unfortunately, we still have the bear.
Thank you, Ini. Let's hope the bull can make a comeback tomorrow. Well, let's see the closing numbers for other major stock markets now. And that's business news. I am Will Ibang. Is back to Anne for more on the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. And outside our shores, at least 17 people have been killed in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, in the latest Russian strikes. A mayor of Kiev, Vitaly Klitschko, has warned residents in affected districts of possible disruption to supply of hot water. Let's join Simon Puse from our London studio with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. At least 15 people have been killed in the latest Russian strikes targeting the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv's mayor said, as Ukraine continues to face a shortage of air defense missiles. Blocks of flats and warehouses were struck across the city overnight, while a children's hospital and school were also damaged. Kyiv relies on Western allies for supplies, and President Volodymyr Zelensky said that as long as Ukraine does not have enough anti-ballistics, Russia will not seriously think about peace. Authorities say a former Zambian minister was killed in last week's raid by security forces on a house linked to opposition leader Brian Mundabile, a day after the presidential election. A police spokesman said Mutotwe Kafwaya was fatally wounded by law enforcement officers during what officials described as an exchange of fire during a security operation in the capital Lusaka. 11 people were arrested in the raid, with the authorities accusing Mundabile's party of being involved in insurgency and militia activity. Mundabile, who has since gone into hiding, rejected the allegations as total fabrications. A landslide at a gold mining area in Zamboy in Western Central African Republic, near the border with Cameroon, has killed more than 100 people. Videos shared online appear to show a slope collapsing onto a crowd of people at the site as others ran to safety. Rescue efforts are underway amid fears the death toll could rise. It is not immediately clear what triggered the landslide at the mine. At least 3 of the victims are Cameroonian, according to the governor of Cameroon's East region. Ecuador's intelligence chief and his wife have been killed in a helicopter crash in Kenya. Michel Sensi Kontugi and his wife Stephanie Holohan were among the 7 people killed when the accident happened in Samburu County at approximately 9:15 on Wednesday. The other victims were Americans, a U.S. State Department spokesman said. The Kenya Civil Aviation Authority said the helicopter was on a scenic flight from a wildlife conservancy to Owasso Nero, a river that flows along several national reserves. Sea ice has been disappearing from East Greenland, allowing giant whales to take advantage and move into previously inaccessible areas. That is the conclusion of a decades-long study that has recorded and filmed hundreds of the world's biggest whales, including humpbacks, minke and fin whales, feeding in ice-free seas along the coast in summer. None of these marine mammals were historically found here, as they have been locked out of the coastal waters by ice. Now, as climate change warms the sea and melts the ice, they have adapted. Scientists describe the result as seasonal Arctic feeding frenzies, part of a major regime shift in the ocean environment along East Greenland. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are planning to move back to the UK. Prince Harry and Meghan intend to relocate from the US later this month to a private, non-royal residence outside London. The couple's children, 7-year-old Prince Archie and 5-year-old Princess Lilibet, are enrolled to start at a British school in September. King Charles was told of the move on Sunday. There are no current plans for either Prince Harry or Meghan to resume their roles as working royals. The Sussexes and their children visited the King at his Highgrove home in July this year, but it is understood the move was not discussed.
I cannot help but think that the re-election of President Trump had something to do with that. And he took on this much more kind of combative relationship where he was criticizing Trump on the Stephen Colbert show and over Ukraine. And then, obviously, alongside that, he became much more positive about Britain. And in November, he wrote this love letter to the United Kingdom. It was to coincide with Remembrance. But he wrote, it wasn't just about Remembrance. He was talking about, the banter and, the terraces of sports games and things like that. It was very much, about UK culture and British culture and his love of it.
And a 5-time Grammy Award winner, Angelique Kidjo, has made history as the first African musician to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The musical icon, who comes from Benin, was joined by her family, friends and Hollywood actors. For For more than 4 decades, the 66-year-old has taken African sounds to global audiences, blending influences from her native Benin with funk, jazz and pop. Celebrating her illustrious career, Kidjo thanked others as her legacy was immortalized in Los Angeles. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has warned rivals that he plans to build the Premier League champions into the best club in the world. Arsenal start their bid for a second successive English title against newly promoted Coventry City in the opening game of the top-flight season on Friday night. Arsenal haven't won consecutive English titles since the 1930s, and Arteta says he's using that record as a rallying cry for his team. Meanwhile, Coventry City manager Frank Lampard has challenged his team to follow his survival blueprint as the Sky Blues prepare for their first Premier League game in 25 years against champions Arsenal on Friday. Lampard led Coventry City back into the top flight by winning the championship last season, but the side have already been installed as the favourite for relegation. And Real Madrid has officially unveiled Ibrahima Konate earlier today, becoming the third figure to receive an official welcome at the club this week, following Jose Mourinho on Tuesday and Bernardo Silva on Wednesday. The presentation took place at Real Madrid City, where club president Florentino Perez welcomed Konate in the boardroom. And finally, the 4-time Formula One champion, world champion Max Verstappen, has signed a new contract with Red Bull until the end of 2030. Verstappen is one of the most successful Formula One drivers of all time, dominating the sport with 4 consecutive world championships from 2021. That sport is back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. Days after securing a second term in office, the Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke today presented his certificate of return to President Bola Tinubu in Abuja. And tragedy struck in the early hours of today in Gereu community of Sokoto State, with several persons killed and others still missing as overloaded vessel capsized. Emergency responders and residents are intensifying search. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Good night and stay safe.